I'm about to interview Grant Cardone live, and here's how this went down. Grant reached out to me on New Year's Eve and said he loves my content. He sent me a DM on Instagram, and he said he'd like to be on my podcast, right? Here's the thing, I didn't tell him I don't have a podcast. I invited my friend Jamie Gruber, because he has a Tribe of Millionaires podcast, to come out with me, and we're gonna interview Grant live here in just about 20 minutes. Gonna break the news to him too, that I don't have a podcast, we're on my friends. We'll see how he takes it. Can't wait to dig in. Let's go inside and we'll talk to Grant.
Grant's a small apartment guy. He does everything on small apartments, helping people with single family small
that's
apartments.
how I saw your Instagram.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, so that's how we're here, right? Yeah. Reached out to him.
Yeah.
He said, hey, can we do it on this podcast?
Yeah.
Great, so he's co-hosting with me on this, and we'll dive into all of it.
And here, I gotta come clean. I don't have a podcast. You said you want to be on my podcast.
Okay,
so I'm
so
like,
you reached out. Yeah, good for you, man.
I can tell you no, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do it together.
That's smart.
So I appreciate it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tribe of Millionaires podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Gruber, with a special co-host today, my boy, Grant Warrington. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, man. Good to be here. Appreciate it.
Today's guest, I think you all know him. Grant Cardone, Uncle G, is a private equity fund manager with over $4.5 billion in assets under management, founder of 10X Studios, Cardone Ventures, 10X Health Systems, and co-founder, investor in at least 16 other businesses. I think we're over 20 at this point, right? Yeah, over 20. He's a New York Times bestselling author of God knows how many books at this point. Of course, he's the star of Undercover Billionaire on Discovery and GCTV. Grant, man, thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys. It's good to be in the company of another Grant.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, so you're
Jamie, Grant. Yeah, so I'm going to go Grant W, Grant C when I need to, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's start with real estate. It's a passion play of yours, obviously. 2024 is coming up.
Yep.
You've talked about it, and I agree with you, that single family probably see a little correction, then explode as rates drop.
Mm-hmm.
But in the multifamily commercial sector, a lot of debt's about to come due this year.
Yeah.
What is your play? Are you buying? I heard you going office. Like, where are you going
Dude,
in this?
I am extremely optimistic about this correction. Corrections are what create opportunities in real estate without a debt market problem. And we have debt markets in problematic waters. There are probably $700 billion worth of loans coming due this year that have some kind of maturity date on them in 24 that somebody has to fix. Now, not all of it's problematic, but some of it will become problematic. It was probably financed in 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, it's due now. Could be a construction loan. It could be an apartment rehab like you do. The guy bought it in, let's say, 22, had a plan to rehab it, sell it in 25. It's not gonna happen. Plan fell apart. We wanna go buy those apartments. So it's gonna be a tremendous opportunity. I believe office is a great opportunity.
Why?
Because I don't believe remote work failed. Everybody that got behind it, all the liberal, woke CEOs, it's like, yeah, everybody should go home during COVID. We didn't go home.
Not at all.
We stayed here and we said, if we're gonna get sick, we're gonna get sick at work. And then we'll get well at home. And a lot of people didn't get sick. Not everybody did, by the way. And nobody in our organization died. We never shut the doors down. We never stopped working. We never went remote. And everybody that did go remote is fucking wishing they never went remote, because every CEO is admitting it was a failed project. Elon didn't go remote. He fought the deal the whole time. I believe people will go back into offices. I think office spaces people will go buy more space in the future so that people can have more room. But I'm a contrarian by nature. I don't do what herds of people do. I bought apartments in 1997 when people weren't buying apartments. I bought them again in 2008 when people weren't buying apartments. And I bought them during COVID. And every time I've done that and didn't do what everybody else did, I seem to do better than other people were doing.
How contrarian will you get with office? Meaning, will you do downtown New York, downtown LA? Or
I would do downtown San Francisco. Yeah, I do.
Why? What do you see?
Because I can
there?
steal it. If I can steal something, I'm going to steal something. And I think you're going to be able to steal stuff. Now, single family that you refer to is never, ever, you guys that are waiting to buy a single family home, you should just completely take your attention off of it. There will be no deals to be had there. And number two, there's not going to be any profit to be made there. You're not going to get rich in single family homes.
Speaking his language.
You're not.
Yeah, that's what I say. I teach people, even if you're a single family landlord, you need to level up to buying small apartment buildings and just get
Everybody
out of
does.
single family space.
There's nobody, if you go find a guy that's got 80 single family homes and collecting rent from 80 different people, just go have breakfast with him. And I guarantee you within 20 minutes of the conversation, he's going to be like, I want to get rid of these 80. They all do it. I've been doing this game for 35 years, and all I'm trying to do is tell people a faster way to fast track their success. And like, you're going to not do that. You're going to do the single family, and then you're going to do a flip, then you're going to do a wholesale. You're going to learn all this bullshit that you're not going to do later on. Don't do that. You're basically a prostitute. You're basically just working. You're a manager. Don't be a manager, man. Skip all that. Move to the 40 units, move to 80 units. That's where the money is. That's where the cash flow is. That's where the depreciation is. That's where all the good leverage is. And most importantly, that's where all the good deals are. The good deals are not in single family homes.
You've been in the big apartment space for a long time, 300, 400, 500 units.
Yeah.
Following a guy like Grant, who's in the small apartments, to me, if Grant Cardone is following Grant Warrington to talk about small apartments, there's got to be something in Grant Cardone's mind about small apartments.
I mean, I just like the game. I like real estate. I think it's the safest, smartest thing that every family in America should do. I think without exclusion, everybody should have money invested in this space because of all the benefits. Now, whether it's 24 units or 240 units, whatever the number is, you just do it. But make sure it's a good location. Make sure it cash flows. Don't over leverage the property and don't manage it. Don't be a manager. Don't go so small that you're a manager. You don't want to be the pimp and the prostitute. Like, it's just too hard to do all that, right? You can't do the two jobs. Like, you can't own the restaurant and be the cook. You're a slave and a master, right? And so when you're too small, if it's 24 units, you're probably still managing a property because you don't have enough income.
That's exactly where we were at with our 41 units. I was a construction worker, 24 years. We had no money, had to build up, self-manage. We still do. And it's now we need to grow to get out of that.
Yeah, I don't manage anything.
You hire out?
I've never managed anything, by the way.
Do you have like Cardone management?
Well, what I did was my first deal, it was 48 units, and I gave a percentage of the upside to a guy to manage the property. I had a manager on the property, because in California, it's 16 above, you have to have a manager on property by law. I don't know how many states are like that, but I hired another guy to manage the manager and gave him a piece of the upside. That guy made 600 grand off that first deal with no money in it, with sweat equity, because I couldn't manage it. One, I didn't want to manage it. I'm a terrible manager. I would just evict everybody. Every time somebody did something wrong, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. I'm the wrong guy. But more importantly, I had 2 other jobs, and my jobs were making me money. Real estate doesn't make money, just so everybody knows. Like, this isn't a get rich quick thing. Making money is me going on the street corner right here and say, stopping cars. Can somebody give me $500 right now? I need it right now. If you need emergency money, just go to the street corner and say, stop the car. Can you give me $500? I'll give it back to you in a year. I could get somebody out there to give me $500. You can't get that out of a real estate deal. But I would take the $500 and throw it in a real estate deal and go back to the street corner. Because I was out hustling $500. In that case, I was 30 years old hustling car dealers for money. I would get the money from the car dealer, the 1 out of 10 that said yes to me, take the money, throw it in a real estate deal and go hustle another car dealer.
I feel like recently it's kind of become a truth out there that wasn't there for the last 5-6 years. I've said this, I had a big job, I know you were in a job, like real estate is great, but it is a long play. It's almost like a retirement plan.
And 100%.
Business is the play. So for you, where do you spend your time and energy right now?
First thing I spend my time is on me. Like, I don't do my business first. I don't do my family first. I do me first. Gotta take care of me. I get up, take care of myself in the morning, work out, read something, learn something, add something to me, make a new commitment to myself every day to be a better version of myself. Me, that's my investment. Like, and there's no amount of money I can pour into me that's not going to be valued. And the more money I invest in me, the more money I expect other people to invest in me. So you guys out there that won't invest any money in yourself, don't ever expect me to spend a penny on you.
This is where it gets fascinating for me. So Cardone Capital, tell me if I'm wrong on some of your deals. You'll do something in the range of like, say, a 6-pref, 65% profit split at the end, 10-year hold. Does that sound about reasonable for the deals that you've done?
No, it sounds more like no pref and an 80-20 split.
The reason I ask that is there are a lot of syndicators out there, reputable, do a good job, all of that. But from what I understand, and maybe this is true or not true, your accredited investor invests on average way more with you than, say, a syndication company I'm a part of, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about brand. How much of that is just your brand, 10X? Like, how do you parlay your brand into what you're doing?
Well, there's no way for me to convince anybody that you investing money in yourself makes you better, but people invest with me because I invested in me. There's no scientific proof of this, but I know when people haven't invested in themselves. I can tell. I'm not talking about going buy a fancy car for the weekend. That's not an investment. I'm talking about investing in you spiritually, mentally, physically, taking care of yourself. Like, I'm telling you, like, knowing what to say, spending time on coaching, mentoring. 1, 2, now in your business. Different thing. Grant goes to business. Now I need to invest in my business, the marketing, the branding. Case of Cardone Capital. Guys, I went and bought this piece of real estate. I believe in it. Now I raise the money. I don't raise the money before I bought the deal. I found it, I funded it, I bought it, I filled it, I picked it out of 100 different deals, and then I tell you about it. Along the way, I built this big audience, and I built this audience based on what stuff I was learning. It was just a proven thing for me to do. When I was 25 years old, I started helping other people. Like I'm like, well, I learned something. Hey man, let me tell you this little trick I just learned. My whole life I've been doing this. If it was a dog trick, look at this little dog trick. I got my dog to shake hands. Like, this is how you do it, right? Like, I just like teaching people something I learned, and the more I teach other people, the more clarity I got on the dog trick, whatever the learning thing was, right? And then along the way, for 35 years, I've been doing that. When social media came along, I just started telling people, hey, this is what I did in this real estate deal. Now, a lot of people call it bragging and showing off, and maybe it is. But if I was a baseball player and I won the World Series, I'd probably have my trophy and show it to you when you come to my house.
A ring.
Sure. If I won a Super Bowl, I'd show you my ring. Like I would brag about what I do. And I have been that guy that has, over the years, wanted to tell people, hey, I did this and it worked.
What changed at 25? I know that's when you came out of addiction around that time, but what made you go in the value add route? Did you learn that from somebody? Was it something you saw in the market?
Yeah, so I was 25. I went to a treatment center for drug addiction, came home, and the thing I was worried about was when I woke up and when I went to sleep. I never used drugs when I was sleeping. I'm like, well, the rest of the time is going to be hell. That's the only time I was worried about. 6 o'clock in the morning till whenever I went to sleep. So I had to figure out when I came out of the treatment center, there's only 2 things I'm going to do every day, and that's it. Maybe 3 things. Like, there was nothing else. Because if you gave me any more choices, you do not give a drug addict choices. Once somebody's violated their own principles too many times, you cannot give them choices. They've lost their freedom of choices. In my case, I couldn't go to clubs. I couldn't hang out with the druggies. I couldn't hang out with the dealers. I couldn't hang out with my girlfriend. Couldn't hang out with my old friends. I had to cut all this shit off. That has really defined my life. Like, I say no to a lot of stuff, and then I'm left with this. They're like, how do you have so much energy? Because I said no to all this stuff. I remember Muhammad Ali, they asked Ali once, they said, what's your training regimen? He said, well, my training regimen is not being with the hoes on the weekend. He spent the whole time not talking about what he did during the week, but what he didn't do on the weekends. And that became my like, okay, I'm not going where drugs are. Now, what am I going to do with my time? That's what I'm left with. I do the same thing today when I buy real estate. What am I not buying? Now focus on this. During the day, it was like, work on your business. I was a sales guy. Work on yourself or help somebody. That's the only thing I did all day long. I wasn't working out. I had no interest in workout. I was 25. I was in decent shape. You're young. I could eat anything I wanted to back then. And I worked on myself. I tried to become a better salesman. And if I wasn't working with the customer, calling a customer back, trying to get some money from a customer, getting better at getting customers, I was helping some other drug addict get off drugs. That worked for me, man. It kept me off of drugs, made me better, made me more confident, made me feel better about myself.
All of that work, I'm assuming, accumulating that and how much you grind and how much you push, and then you get criticized a ton. You're called words like fraud and scammer and all of that stuff. Recently, just observing you, it feels like you've gone into what I call clapback mode. Did something change for you? What all of a sudden made you say, you know what, here I come. I'm coming back after everybody?
Look, I don't mind people. You attacking me, people saying things about me, you want to call me, whatever you want to call me. That's people can do whatever they want to do. But the moment you cross over into defamation and damaging a person's character, their reputation, their brand, their business. I have 1,000 employees here. We have 13,000 investors that depend on a check from me every month. I have banks, institutions that I get money from. I got to borrow money from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, life insurance companies. When they see some of this stuff, that people went out of their way, knowing that it wasn't true, that there was nothing to support it. I go to an institution and say, I need to borrow $200 million. They're like, we don't want the headline risk. Oh, really? That's on that guy. Somebody clickbaiting me and using my name. Grant Cardone said blah, that's whatever. If I said it, it's true. But when you start saying stuff that's not true repetitively, repeating over and over with the intention to damage, going out of your way and then saying in the same moment, you won't do anything about this, Grant, because how's that going to make you look if you bring it back up again? Okay, that was said on a live call and he knew it was being recorded. Okay. Basically, hey, I'm going to call you 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, by the way, Grant, you won't bring a defamation suit against me because you talking about 1, 2, 3, and 4 would only bring attention to what? I'm like, yeah, bruh. And guess what? 1, 2, 3, and 4 ain't real. You know it's not real. By the way, why would I bring a $100 million defamation suit? The first action, this will not be the last thing. Why would I bring that? Why would I bring attention to this if I thought any of this was true? So that's for everybody. Like people have said online, they're like, he's not going to do this. This is not really happening. Grant's just getting PR for it. Trust me. Not only am I getting PR for this, I will win this. This will go into the federal courts and become a place of like, okay, this is where defamation, this is where freedom of speech stops and defamation starts.
You set a precedent. You're looking to set
I'll
a precedent.
Yeah. For all podcasters out there, YouTubers, clickbaiters, all you influencers out there, because what's happening today that did not exist 10 years ago. The New York Times, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, all those people have lost money doing this before too. The magazines, the celebrity magazines, Gossip, Expo, they've all lost money before. Hawker went bankrupt, trashing Hulk Hogan. Rudy Giuliani for calling two jury people frauds. $155 million award. The other one, not so relevant, is probably the Alex Jones thing. He lost $1 billion. He's going to settle for $55 million. Because what did not exist earlier before this was social media platforms and content creators that use clickbait, a new term, in order to monetize their channel. Because these people are financially rewarded to put fraud and my name in a title intentionally. Know the enemy of your enemy, okay? It's interesting because this whole group of people that do this and that have got entangled in this snarl with me will all end up basically supporting me in this action to both protect not just my name, my brand, my business, and my reputation. Because imagine if you're an investor, okay, you just invested 400 grand with me or 4 million, and you see some guy, a very reputable person that's run a major company. This isn't some dumbass sitting in his closet doing a fucking YouTube video. By the way, trashing me, then trashing another guy. Like that's what some of these groups do. You mentioned some of them. They just go from one person to the next person to the next person.
Exposing.
Exposing.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, this is my opinion of, okay? This guy knows the importance of brand, knows how valuable marketing is, to the tune of $140 billion, was paid $140 million for 3 months of work. He has been quoted as saying marketing matters, colors matter, brand matters, reputation matters, trust matters. Like this guy knows. This guy also has an accounting background. When you have an accounting background, you can't say, well, it's my opinion, you're not a billionaire. Well, bro, to say you're not a billionaire repeatedly after I've stated that there's $4 billion worth of assets, there's a $3 billion value on the other companies, there's $2 billion worth of debt. Do the math. 4 plus 3 is 7, less 2 is 5. Split it up with some investors, there's still a couple $1 billion left over for one guy. When you go on and say, no, that's not true, well, you'd have to do some math of your own, or to say that I'm living beyond my means or that I've lived off of somebody else's investments, okay? That would be an SEC violation. I'd be in jail today. When an intelligent, accounting degree, Ivy League corporate runs a $140 billion company, been rewarded $140 million and $50 million a year to work at this company, goes online out of his way, whether he's slurring his words or not, whether it makes sense that he's saying it or not, nobody needs to know why he's saying it, but when you repeat it over and over and over again, it's defamation and it's damaging. And just imagine being one of my investors and you're like, you're a pedophile?
Right. I heard that.
Okay, you heard it?
I heard that. He said that in his rant.
Oh, before that, it's just like you're a fraud and you're a bullshit and you're a con artist. Like, how does that make that guy feel that's an investor? How about my 1,000 employees? They're like, they're playing, whatever. But what about the mom that said to the guy that just got hired, Tony, and says, Tony, your boss, I heard, and then this guy knows, by the way, this very intelligent marketing guy, knows that social media works like this. You say something, and if it's hot enough, it goes viral.
Yeah.
And I told him the night this happened, I said, bro, if this goes viral, these charges, this claim could be historical because of the damage. We're still assessing the amount of damage.
I was going to say 100 million. Is that kind of like what you think right now, but you have to kind of reassess true damages, or could they be much more than that?
Well, I think the Alex Jones thing, I don't think they went for $1 billion. I think they got treble damages. My company, the real estate company, just Cardone Capital.
Yeah.
My ability to raise money, I will raise $100 billion in my lifetime. This is not about money. This is about
setting a precedent.
Right. And we will be awarded money.
Do you become potentially the victim of the precedent? Because I know you like to clap back. Jordan Belfort's an example, right? You'll go after him. Is it setting a precedent, but being able to speak freely about what you see and what you believe somebody else to be? Does that worry you at all? That if you set a precedent where, hey, you can be responsible for, say, treble damages in the event that you make a false claim? You
mean in the future, if I then said something to you and you're going to come back and say, oh,
correct.
Well, I'm never going to defame anybody because I'm not envious of people. I admire people that are successful. I'm not out of work, though, either. When people are out of work for 4 years after making a difference, it fucks them up, dude. Like when you get out of work, you get bored, and then you drink and you do drugs or whatever you're doing at night. And you don't have purpose or mission anymore, and you see other people flying and rocking and rolling and helping and changing, and people calling you Uncle G, man. And I love you, man. You changed my life. And you hear this night after night. It's gonna fuck you up. And I think that that's what happened in this situation. That's not gonna happen to me because I'm always gonna stay busier than I'm gonna be envious. So I watch Elon. I'm like, man, shit, fuck, I inspired by him. I don't hate on him. I see Donald Trump fucking busting his ass. I don't care how he says it. I see the work ethic, man. I see Vivek Ramaswamy fucking grinding out to go from 0 points to 7 or 8 points. I just like grinders. Yeah. And whether it's a young person, an old person, I like to grind, dude. You could be a ball player, a rapper. I remember hearing 50 Cent say, I don't have time for depression. Like, I don't have the option to be depressed. And I think some people have the option. I don't have it because I'm going to stay busy.
Where does sticking up for the little guy, the employees, the investors, where does that come from?
When I grew up, man, we were the little guys. I always felt like I was a little guy. My stature's little, my physical stature's little. And people remind you about your size, you know, and then I grew up raised by a single mom. He reminds you all the time. Yeah. You know?
That's right, too.
Never felt small. It's only when people brought attention to it when I was a kid. And then my mom, I was reminded again because my dad died when I was 10, so the other boys were fishing, and I didn't know how to fish. I didn't know how to put a hook on the line, dude. I didn't know where to put the anchor. I'd throw the reel, man, and it'd get all wound up. Like, so all that made me feel like, and not as good at. I didn't know how to go hunting. I didn't know what I was doing, right? So you feel small. And so I just swore that one day I was gonna grow up and be a big guy. I wasn't gonna feel small forever. And I feel like I'm very connected to the little guy, to the out of favor. For some reason, I have this bizarre connection with the black community. Bizarre. Like we were doing a Zoom call this weekend. I don't know, 2,000 people are in here. 2,000 little windows open up of people. For some reason, I am attracted to people that are in oppressed or held down or less than desirable situations where it's harder. And I'm not saying that it is harder. I think it is harder for them, but maybe that's not true for you. But there's some connection I have with the little guy, like single moms. If there's a married mom and a single mom in a room, I'm going to be more inclined to help the single mom.
You still do, I think, an annual tribute to your mom since 2009. She passed in 2009, I believe, correct?
Yeah, probably.
2009. You do an annual tribute on Mother's Day, very connected there. I feel like almost reading your story, she was sort of victimized when your father died by the banks, by everything, and you've been sort of on a mission to overcome that. Were you there when she passed? Were you?
Oh, yeah, I was right there with her, dude.
What was that like?
Dude, that was one of those moments, bro. You never forget those. She was my best friend. I was right there with her. She said to me, maybe 2 hours before she passed, she says, I'm scared. I said, what are you scared about? She's like, I'm scared I'm not going to be able to die.
What does that mean?
It means I'm scared I'm just going to be stuck in this state. She wasn't scared of dying. She was scared she wasn't going to die. She held on a long time. She was in the hospital. I flew in from San Diego, went to her and said, hey, does everybody tell you what's going on? She's like, no, what's going on? She was pissed off. She knew what was going on. And I said, has anybody told you what's happening here? Because nobody had confronted the beast. And she's like, no, what do you mean, Grant? And I'm like, have they told you what's happening? She's like, what do you mean? Just get to it. I'm like, dude, you're dying. It's over. This is it. End of the road. And she's like, I know that. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to do about that? This was like super intense. I said, what do you want to do about that? She's like, well, I don't want to fucking die here. I said, good. Where do you want to die? She's like, I want to go home. I said, all right, let's go home. You want to go in your car or you want me to get a car? No, I don't want to get in anybody else's car. You want to drive or you want me to drive? I can't drive, goddammit, you know that. You want to smoke a cigarette on the way home? Goddamn right I do. So we got her home, dude. Now I got her home right that day. I pulled her, I said, told the doctors, let her out, sign the paperwork, let's go home. I said, okay, where you want to die? You just got to confront toughness. I said, okay, Mom, when you going to die? She's like, I'm going to die tonight. Okay, good. What room you want to be in? I want to sit in my chair in the living room, and then I want to go to the bedroom. So we just laid it all out for her, and then we got her home around 2 o'clock. 8 hours later, 8.5 hours later, she had passed.
Were you there when she died, or did you wake up the next? Right there when she died. Is that surreal for you?
I've confronted death quite a bit in my life. I know a lot of people don't. They don't ever see it until later. But my dad died when I was 10. My older brother died when I was 20. I had 2 friends die when I went to treatment. I almost died 3 times while I was using drugs. I never thought I would live till I was 25, much less 65. I wake up every day and say, the fact that I'm even alive. When you're 20 years old and you've seen your 2 mentors die, you don't think, like, it's probably why I'm always in a hurry. I'm always jabbing. Let's go, guys. Goddamn, let's go. Like, it's probably from that think I'm running out of time all the time.
10X launched around this time, the concept of it. Did Mom's death prompt 10X at all?
No.
It feels like it was there before, but man, it just the timing of your mom's passing and everything you've built. Can I tell you what your goals were in 10X? I own 5,000 plus apartments and return over 12% positive cash flow. Where are you today on that?
12,000.
Or 12,000 apartments.
We don't hit 12%. We hit, does that say cash flow? Yeah, they do about 6% cash flow across the portfolio, but they'll probably do 2X, 15 to 18% over the portfolio.
Sure. My net worth is over 100 million. That was your 10X goal.
That's what I wrote in the 10X rule?
This isn't 10X rule. My income is over $1 million a month,
Wow.
and I've written and published 12 bestsellers. Like I said to you before.
My income's closer to $1 million a day.
Right. That's my point. Seeing that now, as you look at it, tell me about 10X in your mind today versus when you wrote it in 09, because you're way over 10X.
When you're a kid and you're picking up weights, you're picking up 15 pounds and it's heavy, you got to back off to 10 or 5.
Sure.
And you can't imagine ever picking up 200 or 300, but you will if you just keep picking them up. So the goals today is we have the company's got $4.5 billion. We'll go to $50 billion of real estate, maybe 100. Maybe me and Ryan had a meeting this weekend. I said, why don't we just have 3 million properties? 3 million properties. Why don't we be the largest property owner in the world? I know all this is possible. It's already been done before many, many times. I just got to be willing to work hard enough and tell enough people the story and do the right thing and pay people. We pay $5 million a month. Last year, we paid $5 million a month in distribution to our investors. My goals were to make $5 million one day. Now I send $5 million out every month. We want that number to be at least $50 million. So every month, I'm sending out $50 million in checks. I'd like that to be $500 million one day. Like now I just got to start working toward the plan, getting the right people and figuring out what asset that I can buy that can actually accomplish that.
10X goals though for you, people have these two debates on goals. It's like, set them so big that they scare you and you're going to go after them. And then there's the other side that says, look, you do that, you're going to be stifled to take action. So set them more realistic. I feel like you reside more in the first camp. Just set them as big as you fucking can.
Look, the targets, like most of these guys don't even know my targets, including you guys that I just shared them with, because I keep some of this stuff private because otherwise people are going to think I'm crazy. I'm holding on to one right now that I didn't tell you, right?
So get it out of you by the end of the interview?
Maybe. The think, though, right? The 10X thing is just this big concept. I cannot ever accomplish anything 10X. I never accomplished any of my goals. Not even these, by the way, that I wrote in the book, because before I wrote the book, before I had accomplished where I'm at today, I'd already changed those in my mind. You didn't know it because I couldn't go back and rewrite the book.
Sure.
But I had already changed them. So the moment I went from 600 units to 2,000 units, I was like, fuck, what was I thinking about? I'm going to blow right through 5,000. When I was doing Undercover Billionaire, the goal was to make $1 million business. In 4 days, I knew for sure it would be $5 million. I thought maybe it could be 10, and there was a possibility it'd be 15 because I could feel my acceleration in the first 4 or 5 days. Yeah. So as you get some kind of momentum, you're like, shit, I can do a mile a lot faster than I thought I could. If you're a runner, right? Or a swimmer, or whatever the case is. I'm doing this big thing, but on a daily, I'm doing a target, a specific target I can kill. So every day I'm very target driven on a specific, achievable. I think what happens is people don't put the two together. They think that they're exclusive and they're not for me. I want to go on a trip this year around the world. I still need somebody to fill up my car today because I ain't going to the gas station to do it. So somebody's got to go fill my car because I got to get home tonight. So I'm doing this short-term, very, very short-term goal. I'm talking 15-minute targets, 1 hour targets, 3 interviews this morning, and then I got to do the rest of my shit today too. I got a bunch of real estate calls I got to make. I'd like to get 1 deal under contract today. I need to get a workout in. I got to get some body work done, blah, blah, blah. So I have these other things to do. I want to call my kids. I want to talk to my wife. She's out of town. I don't know what else I got to do today. I'm sure these guys are going to pile me up with other bullshit, right? And most of the time, I don't know what I'm doing until I get here. I'm just thinking about target $100 billion in real estate.
You think of that in the morning?
Yeah, I'm going to become a bank one day. I need to morph from being Grant Cardone, sales marketing guy involved in this big defamation suit to becoming an institution in the future. But I got to pay bills today and I got to defend this thing and I got to build a case and I got to do this interview with you guys. So I'm managing this activity right now.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing this with us, to be honest with you.
I appreciate you guys coming in.
You really enjoyed Undercover Billionaire.
Yeah. So I love your take on it, where you go through and you give your behind the scenes on it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing they did was a piece of garbage.
Well, I love I really resonated with Lewis Curtis, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's your
cool
father's first name, right? And your father's middle name.
Yeah.
And just the struggle. And you say you connect with these people, right? And I think that's it. Like I connected with that. That's why I connect with you. Like when you talk to the one gentleman wouldn't let the cameras in. He didn't give you the time of the day.
Yeah.
You said, he doesn't know if you're a scam artist. He's protecting himself, which makes complete sense. And you understood that. But you had to tell the cameras when you came out of that meeting, you said, give me a minute. This guy made you feel like a piece of shit. You know what I mean? How'd you feel?
Yeah. So what he's referring to is the behind the scenes. Okay.
Yeah. It's on GCTV.
My
correct?
sister, who is 75 years old, called me this morning. She's like, I just watched Undercover Billionaire behind the scenes. She's like, this woman's known me for 65 years. Grant, that is the best representation I've ever seen of you. That is you, okay? It's not all this stuff I'm doing on Instagram. That story where they dropped me off in Pueblo and I don't have any money, I don't have a place to live. Like none of this was produced. I'm the only one that knows this to be true. The viewer doesn't know, you guys don't know for sure. I do. None of this was produced. I wouldn't let him produce anything. I didn't have heat in the RV. The first night, it was 15 degrees. Dude, we can get you heaters. I said, bro, that ain't the deal. It's my job to get the fucking heater. I'll get the heater. Now, I should have gotten the goddamn heater because my neck 5 years later still hurts because I didn't have the heater. And I'm sitting there gritting my teeth at 15 degrees and I don't have a blanket. Louis Curtis was basically no money, no food, no water, no place to live. And he was a little conniving. He is exactly what Grant Cardone was when Grant was broke. Like trickery. I'm getting off my plane. I went back on the plane, Discovery doesn't show this, and grabbed a fucking water bottle to hack the system. And stuffed blankets and some extra shirts and some snacks in my bag. I'm cheating. And I'm showing people, look, I cheated, dude. Sometimes you have to cheat the system, the game. You got to game it in order to take care of yourself. I'm going to clean it up later. I'm going to let everybody know I cheated later so I'm not left with this sin. I'm not getting to heaven and have God say, hey, bro, by the way, look at the list. I'm like, fuck, I know the list, bitch. No, I know what's on the list, man. I know it. I already confessed to it. I already got it all, bro. You ain't copying me. My list is empty, man. There's nothing you're gonna, we were talking about this before. You're not gonna be able to bust me because I've already said, hey, I did it. So that way it takes all the heat out of that deal. Louis Curtis was like, they had to keep telling me, you know, we're shooting a TV show, right? And I said, huh? We're shooting a TV show, bro. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know. What's the point of that? Okay, man, you're so into it. I'm like, I'm broke. And they're like, well, give the waitress a tip. And I'm like, I don't have any money. And they're like, bro, you know this is a TV show, right? Like, you have $100, give her part of your 100. I said, no, I'm broke. A broke person would not give somebody a tip. And I said, let's teach America that. And they're like, that's not good TV. I'm like, you guys are producing TV. You should be just following me and what I do, because they had no idea. This could have been a $15 million business in 90 days if they'd have got out of my way. Like the apartment deal. They didn't want to do the apartment deal. I had to fight with them. I was there 5 days, found a deal. That deal would have made me $4.5 million. I could have bought it with no money. I had it all figured out, but they didn't want to show it because Discovery back in LA is saying, an apartment is not a business. It's an investment. I'm like, well, that's how stupid you guys are. An apartment building is a business. It was a good and bad experience. Any of you guys want to watch it, it's at grantcardone.com/BTS. Completely free, costs you nothing, no ads. And you're going to hear me talk about what Discovery didn't show you and couldn't show you.
On that point, like he said, you go in, this guy doesn't know you, and you spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy in being known. So if today, knowing what you know now, I said you can only have one. You can have your portfolio or you can have your following. Which one do you keep?
What portfolio?
Your real estate portfolio.
I ain't giving that shit up.
That's number one.
Yeah, I'm not giving that up.
What portfolio are you thinking about? Your business portfolio?
Yeah.
You'd give that up over followers or no?
I would have answered this different a few years ago about the followers. I'm starting to get to the place where I'm like, I don't know if I want the followers. That saying about be careful what you wish for. Now I have them. I don't know that I want them.
Why?
It's how I created what I have.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it without that. You can't turn it off, but I want to become something else now that doesn't maybe involve the followers. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm a teacher at heart. I'm not a banker. I'm a teacher. I just happen to be good with money, and I'm extremely disciplined with money. I don't mess up with money. I mess up with what I say. I don't mess up with money ever. Like your money, my money, it's all the same money to me. It could be my kids' money. I know how to watch money. I'm disciplined around money for some reason.
Well, you get a lot of shit from people, I think, is that, and the Kiyosaki interview is a great example. He felt like you're in sales mode, get out of sales mode, right? And I think the people that come after you.
He was in poor dad mode.
He was. I agree. But the point that people I think make is, well, you're always selling something. So when you say teacher,
I am always selling something.
Right. When you say teacher mode, do you foresee a version of Grant
The teacher
Cardone?
should be a seller.
Okay, so you don't see ever
The
disconnect.
teacher should be a seller. You know, the word doctor actually meant educator. In the beginning, the doctor was an educator. The doctor should educate you, should sell you. The educators should be salespeople. Unfortunately, our school system's not selling anything
Agreed.
anymore. Except, let's go read about transgenderism. Okay, I'm like, okay, why don't you sell me on the value of money and how to get it, keep it, and multiply it. But I am a salesman. Like, I'm selling all the time. I'm selling right now. I'm selling me to you. I'm selling me to be, that I'm going to become I'm selling me on these ideas, right? I'm working through the whole concept myself right now. Like, I'm asking myself right now, do I want the followers or do I want I don't know. Now I have to come up with an answer, and I want to be right. To be right, I have to sell myself on this idea. But to be smart, I need to poke holes in the idea. It's an apartment deal. It's a perfect example, because when you buy an apartment deal, you're like, I love this deal. Then you start poking holes in it. Man, I love this woman. I'm gonna marry this. But every person, if you're smart, before you get married, you're gonna poke holes in it. You're gonna be like, what's wrong with her? What's she gonna look like later? How's she gonna be one? You gotta start poking holes in you, her, it, everything, dude. Poke holes. I'm poking holes in my own story all the time until I'm fucking like, bro, let's go with a story. This shit's strong. Let's sell it. Because I'm a good guy. I'm not going to sell a bad story. I don't know if that answers.
It does.
But like anybody here that says I'm a sales guy, guilty.
That's the question. The question is, do you ever see yourself separating away from that? But I get it. That's an honest answer.
Yeah, but is he a marketer? I sure did, because nobody else is marketing for me. All this other stuff you want to call me? Dude, when you start defaming me, hey, no, stop that. I don't agree with that. That's not what I am. I've never done that. By the way, you can't say that and not provide proof that I am that. Show me I am. You want to call me a scammer? Show me proof that I've scammed you or anyone. You want to say that I'm a bullshit artist? What does that even mean? Is that a compliment, or are you trying to defame me right now? I'm not sure what you're trying to do, but it sounds like you're calling me something bad. Now, show me what bullshit means to you, and now I need you to tell me I'm an artist. I'm extremely good at it. Did it ever damage you? I was involved in an SEC suit. It was 2 years. They said that I had misrepresented. I spent $1 million defending myself. Twice it was thrown out of the courts saying I never misrepresented anything. So if you're going to tell me I'm going to misrepresent you, just give me the opportunity to defend myself, okay? If you don't want me to defend myself, it's because you want to defame me, because you didn't ask me. You just went on your little YouTube channel and spent hours building a case without providing any evidence. Yeah. That's the intention to defame, right? So am I a salesman? Yes. Am I an artist? Fuck yeah. Do I bullshit? You damn right I do. I have fun, laugh, joke, bullshit around, have a lot of fun. Do I defame people? Never have. Do I scam people? Never have. Am I a pedophile? Come on, man. And nobody believes that shit. People say a lot of shit about me. The only person that would call me a pedophile is intentionally trying to damage my brand and get other people not to touch me.
Hot word. Let me throw a hot word at you.
Racist, show me the proof. Like any of these words, these are hot words, clickbait words, design. Grant Cardone targets black community. I do. Yes, I did target you. I target 55-year-old white men too. I target teenagers on TikTok. Yeah, I do. Yeah, well, it's not against the law to target people.
You thinking about you switching or slowing down or whatever just doesn't make any sense. I think I saw you in your Malibu home. You talk about the ocean being a force of nature that never stops.
Yeah. Dude, man, this guy's good. Man.
Well, I love that because actually it resonated with me. Like, I go through these cycles. I know you do too, where it's like, am I being too much this and I need to balance it out or whatever? But I have this, I guess, natural instinct to go.
Yeah.
So I want to take this natural instinct to go that you have and ask you about category domination, I should say. When you are thinking about, because you've talked about this, like, I got to own the category. Are you going head on against the category king, or are you creating your own category when you do that? Are you going after 3M with paper clips, or are you making the little ridges on the paper clip and creating your own category?
It's a great question. I've never been asked this, but it's a great question. It's why I like doing podcasts, because it makes me start thinking about what did I do? I'll tell you what I did wrong, okay? I always went after the category leader. And I confronted them because I was into scarcity. I'm like, I got to hit a guy hard. So you've seen me on interviews before where I go in, I'm very aggressive. Yeah. It was the wrong version of Grant. It was a very scarce Grant. Now, that being said, if you study very, very successful people back into the JP Morgans, the Rockefellers, I'm not comparing myself to those people, but those guys were Vanderbilts. These guys were very aggressive. They were born out of scarcity. These are 8th grade dropouts. Steve Jobs was like this. Bill Gates was like this. Elon's like this. These guys are extremely aggressive, trying to find an angle, trying to force their way into a situation. Trump's very much like this. You're going to overlook me. You're not going to let me talk. I'm going to be my own publicity if you won't give me publicity. So in the beginning, I'm trying to actually make a competitor wrong to get attention. I wouldn't do it again like that. There was no reason to do that. I just didn't understand collaboration, that I could actually work with other people. I grew up in scarcity. I mean, that's my go-to excuse, right? I grew up where there's death, which is scarcity. It's not financial as much as it is just, I only have this much time, which is the biggest scarcity in the world. I don't know that I should do it like that. I don't think it's the right way to do it. Collaboration's much better and faster. Unfortunately, most people want to collaborate with you in the beginning. Like, look at me. I reached out to you. You didn't reach out to me. And so I collaborate with other people today because I want to be with other leaders. And you don't have to be above, below, side of me, below me, whatever that means, right? I want to reach out to all groups of people and say, hey, how can I become more of a leader now and less of a grinder?
By the way, I love that you just put that on tape. That means a lot for his brand. So I appreciate that, truly.
That's what I would want if I were where you are. I would want somebody to lift me up a little bit.
100%.
Yeah, I love that. Negotiation. You said, hey, look, I'm sitting across the table from 2 attorneys, 2 accountants, and a realtor.
Yeah.
And they're there to tell me that my price is too high. And your response to them, do you remember what it was?
No, what was it?
Your response was, you wouldn't have come here
Oh, yeah.
if you really thought that. In
Yeah,
other
yeah,
words,
exactly.
you called them on that
Yeah.
in that moment. And there was something else where you
Yeah, we were doing a deal and they're like, look, your price is too high. I said, yeah, I get you. I understand that. Like, I just go with it. Like, it's real. But I bought stuff that was too high before. I'm a very, very aware person. So, like, I know that he said that hey, man, your hat's too much money. I know. I'm the one that priced it. I'm the one that put the price on it. Said it's $30.
Sure.
I'm the one that made a decision. Now, you're coming in here telling me my hat's too high, okay? Or my real estate's too high. Or I want too much money for the defamation, whatever.
Sure.
I understand. I'm the one that came up with a number.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, how much you want to do this for? I said, at least 100. Maybe we add some other stuff to it and make it $1 billion before this is over with. I'm the one that came up with a number, dude.
Yeah.
I know they're going to say that. So it's awareness first. And then it's like, he wants my real estate. In fact, he's already in his mind said 32 million is a lot of money for the real estate, but we're still having a conversation. If you saw the interview with, I'm not going to even mention his name because I don't respect him, about not interested. If somebody says they're not interested, they are. Not interested is a level of interest. 0 is a number. I don't know why this is so complicated for people.
Can I mention the name?
No, whatever. You don't need to, but it doesn't matter. But again, you see, I went in. That didn't need to be that aggressive.
It was tense. Yeah,
I didn't need to be that aggressive. I didn't need to be so stuck on that. But I'm still stuck on it 4 years later because I'm like, fucking, don't you guys understand that no sunglasses is a number of sunglasses?
Right.
So when somebody tells me I'm not interested, get off my porch. I'm doing a cold call. Car dealer says, I'm not interested in your product. I understand you're not interested. You don't have enough information to be interested. But if I could double your sales in the next 5 hours, man, are you telling me you're not interested in that or you don't believe me? It's got to be because you don't believe me. So this guy's saying, hey, your $32 million is too high. I said, I know that. But you want my property more than you want your $32 million, admit it. Which means, so if you pay me $25 for this water bottle, that means, what is the water bottle worth?
$25.
No, it's worth more than 25. Otherwise, you wouldn't give me the 25.
Fair.
If it was equal, if you wanted your 25 more than you want the water, it's not my water bottle, it's your 25 that you want. Like if people could literally understand when people trade things, they trade when you're like, oh, I want the water bottle more than my 25, which means the water bottle is worth more than 25. But most salespeople never even get that.
Yeah. In that interview, you also said it's way easier to get leverage if they know you already, which is where the question about followers
No, you
came
what?
from.
No, you.
No, you. You were saying if I'm going to go door to door and sell people,
Oh, yeah.
if I show up at the door and they're like, you're Grant Cardone, way easier, which is where the question about followers came from.
Yeah, well, 100%. Like, who knows you is more important than who you know.
Sure.
Unless you're Lewis Curtis.
We got a couple minutes. Anything on your mind that you want to dive into?
Just I moved to the St. Pete area. You just bought
Yeah, fantastic
big
place.
property there.
Oh, yeah, you like that? You like what I bought?
Yeah, for sure. Just talk about that area a little bit or the deal.
St. Pete is fantastic, man. It's going to be one of the tech hubs in the world. You know, Kathy's over there. And I just think that St. Pete, south of Tampa, little market is going to be super cool. People are going to want to live there. Tampa's going to be one of the great hot spots in the country. Rental properties are going to be tremendous from St. Pete all the way to Ybor City in Tampa, downtown Tampa, south of Tampa, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like Tampa's going to be freaking awesome for rental properties. Back to Clearwater. Clearwater's got a lot of old direct houses. So that's the one complication in that market is you got a bunch of old homes there. Probably just need to be torn down and rebuilt, which that'll happen too. It won't happen in this cycle. But then that deal we just bought a deal for, I don't know, $15 million less than the other owner, $15 million, 30% less than they paid for it 2 years ago. And probably $125,000 per door cheaper than you could build it for. So we stole that deal. But
He was texting me about St. Pete on the flight here, which, by the way, I have you to thank for, I heard.
yeah.
The ability for me to text on a flight today.
That's right, dude.
All
I'm
due
the
to a
guy.
bird-
I'm
all
the
due to
guy.
a bird hit, right?
I'm the guy. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that.
I appreciate you, man. We got you a time. Your people are here. I want to make sure I'm respectful of it, but thank you for being on, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Grant. Appreciate it, buddy.